Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing? What's going on? Welcome to episode 8 of Merchants of Novigrad, a bi-weekly podcast where we discuss everything Gwent. As you can see, today is a very special episode because for the first time on the show, we got all 4 merchants together. I don't think introductions are necessary. So, with that being said, how are you guys doing? What's going on?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Got surprised this week.
Yeah, can't complain.
And before we get into it, a few words to our viewers. If you have any questions, you can ask them in chat. And my dear friend BJ, as always, has been charged with the task of collecting the more interesting ones. And we'll try to answer them as we go. If you'd like to stay in touch also off stream, you can follow us on Twitter at Novigrad Podcast. And obviously, if YouTube is the platform where you would rather watch the episode, it's going to be uploaded a couple of hours after the live stream, so you can just type !mark podcast and get all the links necessary. So without further ado, what have you been up to, guys? Because I think BJ has some really cool stories to tell us.
I do, man. Like last weekend, I went to Germany, Düsseldorf, and I met a lot of people from the Gwent community, from the different teams, Team Artusa members, TLG members, and TRS members. That was me. And so some dudes from Twitch. So it was really nice. So originally Kate the Great, she's a member from my Twitch chat, and she organized the whole event. So we had a lot of people. Bang was also there, and we all gathered together in Düsseldorf on Friday and Saturday. We hanged out. We went to some bars, some restaurants, had some great food. We even lost Kate. That was the fun part. We lost her it was in the middle of the night. We had a lot of drinks, and we talked a lot of Gwent. And then all of a sudden she was gone, and we looked for her, we couldn't find her, and she went back to the hotel apparently, and it was a lot of fun to just hang out with the guys. Like there's some really chill atmosphere, and it was great to do that.
You said that Kate organized everything, and that sounds very impressive because she's actually from Canada.
She is. She and I were the only 2 people that were not from Germany, because all the others were from Germany. But she came from Canada. She flew to Europe to be there. She did the same thing last year as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. And then when I came home the next day, boom, expansion.
Oh yeah. So I can imagine you being pretty excited about Gwent right now.
Yeah, I'm truly excited. I was that excited that I did my boy Villa, and we had some fun. We tried some new stuff, some monsters, some Skellige. We did not won a lot of games that stream, but then we also played some NR off stream, and we did a lot better with that. So it was a lot of fun to try out the new cards.
Guys, I think that someone else is pretty excited as well because chat, if you are not aware, our dear friend Lionheart recently got accepted into the Partners program.
He did, yes. I got accepted, I think, the other day, actually. I haven't done anything with it yet because I haven't streamed. But yes, I got accepted as a Gwent partner, which doesn't seem to do a great deal, but I'm very happy to have a new title.
And I think you also have some stories for us regarding Gwent and your recent adventures at work.
Yes, I have. As those of you who know me know, I work far too many hours, far too many days. Today was my day off, and I worked 6 hours, for example. I was sat working late at work. It was about 5:30. Didn't realise my boss, the director, was walking around, and he walked in, and I was sat with Dr. Stone listening to it, and I'd got my iPhone from work, and I was playing a game of Gwent. He's walked in behind me. I had no idea about this. He's a massive weeb, and he's a Gwent player. Walks up behind me and goes, I wouldn't have played that card there. I thought he was joking until he had said to me, no, I'd have played Decree, I would have done this. And I just looked at him like, oh God, you actually do these things. I had no idea. The problem is now, he won't leave me alone. I see this guy like 80 hours a week. Now I get messages from him at 11 o'clock at night going, what do I do? Would I play this here? Where do I go with this? Is this a good strategy? I'm like, oh no, please let me sleep.
Are you even allowed to play Gwent at work?
No, you're not. I can imagine you are not.
But in my defense, I'm also paid 40 hours a week and work nearly 90. So if they want to complain, I'll go home. fight me. So, yeah, it was an interesting time, but it amazes you. It surprises me how you make snap judgments about people you meet in real life, and the assumption that there's no way you're into anime and you're definitely not a gamer. And he made the exact same judgment about me, and was like, no. And now, actually, we've got all these things in common, which is actually really cool. So, yeah, looks like Lionheart's getting promoted sooner than he thought. But yeah,
I think there was like another incident at your work. I heard some Novigrad main and some NR main trying to settle a dispute, and you got in the middle of it.
Yes, something like that. There were a couple of people at work having a bit of a disagreement, shall we say, and they decided to be petulant children about it, and it got a little physical. One of them punched me in the face instead yesterday, split my lip along here, thankfully, you can't see. And it very quickly realised that they needed to stop what they were doing. So I have mounds of paperwork, as I intend to dismiss both of them on those grounds. I've had an interesting week. It's been fun. It's been very busy. And with the drop of a new expansion, it's frustrating as hell being sat at work going, I want to play. I want to try all these new cards. And instead getting punched in the face. So, emotionally, physically. It's been a good week, mostly.
Yeah, at least it wasn't Ville who got punched in the face, because that would be a real shame. Ville, how are you doing, my friend? I've heard you got your emote approved.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I know I haven't been on this podcast for a while now, but I've been working hard, believe that or not. I'm graduating very soon of my studies and whatnot, so I've been doing that mostly, and of course playing a bit of Gwent. The new expansion was great, and yeah, yesterday I tried to stream for 12 hours, but real life stuff got in the way, so I streamed for around 8 hours, and yeah, it was a lot of fun interacting with people again, and yeah, overall just chilling and waiting for Christmas to come around.
Yeah, and actually, we should say welcome back, because it's been a while since you've been on the show. Even though you are part of the crew, it's been 3-4 episodes since your last appearance.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, welcome back, Ville.
Much love.
Despite you not being here, I think a lot of people in chat during the previous episodes asked, Lost Ville, where is Ville? What is going on?
Where is he?
He is here. He is alive and well, as you can see. This is not scripted. It was not filmed before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not photoshopped. Trust me.
He did lose some hair during the way.
Oh yeah, I think that's important news, especially if Alice is in chat. She would like to know what's going on there. So maybe Ville can shed some light on the rumors that he lost some hair.
I did lose some hair, yes. But, I'm afraid to take this hat off, otherwise I'll probably get stabbed by Alice the next time we meet. So,
but we demand physical evidence, Ville. You have to do it. I think I think Alice is a very patient and understanding person. She'll get it.
Okay, fine. I'll do a big reveal.
Oh
wow, it's short. It's short. Trust me.
I think it looks good.
It looks good. It looks very fresh.
Yeah, it's a lot more hair than beard.
I don't think there is much competition there.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not even fair to compare. But whatever.
Yeah. Anyway.
What I was going to say, 12 hours, that's very ambitious. I only did a single 12-hour stream, and that was a sneaky 12-hour stream, because I counted breaks and countdown as streams, so I think it was more like 10 hours, and I was absolutely horrified by the experience. It was just so much streaming. It was 3 games. It was not only Gwent, it was 3 games, and I was just so tired. And we actually have tried it in chat, and he recently did an 18-hour stream. That's wow. Absolutely insane.
I can't imagine doing that.
Can you imagine streaming Gwent for 18 hours?
Solid Gwent as well. Trying that, that's crazy.
At least he did that after the expansion dropped.
Yeah, that's a good time.
You'd have struggled before, right?
And speaking of the expansion, because that's gonna be the main point of our next segment, what's happening in Gwent. And I think it's fair towards everyone to actually show the trailer, because I think the expansion dropped in such a weird and unexpected fashion. Not a lot of people had the time to see the trailer, so we can show it now.
From our lands bring we medicines rare, exotic delicacy, and of course, war's dreadful tools. What some to steal seek, others by force make late. Yet, to their dismay, all our wares yours too can be, for a price.
Wow.
Oh yeah, definitely. Wow.
It's a cool trailer.
It really. They do trailers very well, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, first impressions. Because I was shocked that they actually did that. What a bunch of madmen.
I know. It amazes me. They've obviously been working on this so hard in the background, and there's a lot of work gone into it. And we've gone for months complaining about no content, no information, and they haven't said anything. They haven't told us, by the way, guys, this is definitely going to happen so much sooner than you think. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, hi, have all the content. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, the season was not even over.
No, it was
I know,
the day
exactly.
before the season ended.
And
that was the best part, because I was streaming and I was planning to play some more Arena. So there was some leaks, and I was going through them with my chat, and all of a sudden somebody says, "Dude, there's an expansion."
Wait, what?
What? An expansion? Yeah, like right now. Okay.
You're like, no, don't be silly.
I expected a minor patch on Tuesday, and instead we got a massive expansion on Monday. How crazy is that? That sounds like some insane guerrilla marketing.
It's it almost feels not deliberate. It was that different, I think.
I think it was deliberate.
Yeah, that's what's mad. It felt like it appeared on the iOS, and all of a sudden it was like, we've kind of told everybody, go, press, let's do it.
I think that was intended. I think the iOS leaks were intended. But the idea was that instead of promoting the game, you can just drop the expansion and get everyone so shocked. They're going to talk about the expansion on all social media possible. So it's going to spread through the word of mouth instead of actual marketing.
That's very true.
Because everyone was talking. Even people who haven't played Gwent in months, who haven't talked about Gwent in months, tweeted about the expansion.
Yeah, I even saw like people say like, you lost me with like the last expansion, but you got me back with this expansion because it was such a surprise.
Yeah, it was a very nice experience, I have to say. Because as I told you guys, I was just not expecting anything. I was to go about my business, play some Arena, and then all of a sudden we get a new expansion. That's just absolutely crazy. I haven't seen any other developer studio doing that ever.
And all the other times they had like a whole partner program with the reveal campaign, but they did not even do that. So even all the Gwent partners were like, whoa. Literally nobody expected it except Syndicate themselves.
I think a couple of players were invited to the internal PTR.
Oh.
I remember when somebody in chat told me, "Oh, Pumpkin is playing PDR." I was like, "There is no PDR. What are you talking about? Like, I have no notion of there being PDR. Like, no way." And apparently nobody knew about that. Even many Twitch partners like Crozer did not know about it.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. I'd be interested to see if they do it again, though. I think I'd be surprised if they go down that route for another expansion launch or for another big reveal. We'll see. Depends on how they feel it went, but
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I
they
think
will
they'll-
definitely
I think they'll
evaluate
revert.
this release and compare
Yeah.
it to the previous expansions. But we are a couple of months away from another expansion, so instead of talking
At
about
least.
what could happen next, we can actually talk about this expansion, which is, in my opinion, pretty damn good.
Mm.
I'm not sure how much you guys played it.
I played a decent bit.
A decent bit, not as much
Not
as
as
I
much as I'd
wanted
like.
to. Yeah, Lionheart. Yeah,
Feels bad, man.
I know.
Yeah, Lionheart willing to play and not being able to play.
Can you imagine? I want more Gwent than I can consume. What is happening?
I mean, you can just play at work like you did last time.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, with the boss. You know, maybe you can exchange
Yeah.
ideas and
Yeah.
you know, prep a little bit, work on a
I'm gonna start
deck.
charging for Gwent coaching. Like, no, seriously.
Actually, recently I saw a streamer who I saw for the first time, and he had somewhere in his panels, like the first panel was like, I coach people with Gwent. I was like, what?
Oh,
I've
really?
never seen you. I don't know who you are. You are not part of any team, and you are coaching people to play Gwent. That felt like a scam.
Free coaching
Yeah,
lessons.
that-
No,
Yeah,
it was not
that
free. It
does
was like
sound a
Oh,
bit
it was not
suspicious.
free.
$15 an hour.
What?
I mean, maybe he's just not a content creator, and he
Yeah,
decides
maybe
to
he's just-
stream
yeah.
to make sure people find him, so he can give coaching lessons for money.
Yeah, maybe. But guys, back to the expansion. What have you been playing? What kind of decks have you been trying? What kind of cards did you include in your decks? Because I can imagine you played mostly the new stuff.
Matahari. Matahuri.
Fuck
Lots of
you.
It's like auto include, right?
In most decks, yeah, it
Almost.
is.
Pretty much.
Almost, yeah.
Like there is essentially no reason not to play her.
Yeah.
It's just
The only deck I haven't seen that card in is Scoia'tael, which makes a bit of sense.
I think
Yeah,
if you
that
are
makes
thinning
sense.
a lot on your own, you don't need it. So I guess some Novigrad decks won't need it because you can just do something similar to the old Hyperthin and you just don't need her because you thin enough.
yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, older decks it's almost auto
Yeah.
include.
Yeah.
She does adds a lot of consistency, especially
Yeah,
with
like,
very
it
high
makes sense,
provision
right?
cards. You always just draw your best card. That's really cool. Yeah, we like Villa and I. We played Northern Realms, Pincer Maneuver, Shoop, Redea deck. We also added
with both of
Matahuri.
the Offieri merchants.
Yeah, Dooley, or what's the guy called? Dooley and Runride? Dula.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had some really great success with that deck. I really love that deck personally.
Yeah, it is really good actually.
Redea is so good on the melee row when you spawn the faction stratagem and you play it on Prince Anses.
Hmm.
Mm.
You just destroy a really big unit. We played against MacBeard twice and we beat him twice. And we got rid of like one of his biggest units.
Yeah, but I
without-
would like to circle back to Matahari because there's an interesting thing that I found on the card, and I think people were so astonished by the skill or certain parts of the art they didn't notice a simple hint that CDPR left in there, and that's Matahari actually spying in this card. That's something I found out not too long ago, and I was like, oh wow, they actually did that. Because guys in chat, if you are not aware, this card is based on a real life character nicknamed Matahari, and she was an exotic dancer and a spy for the German Empire during World War I. So you can actually see in this art that she is trying to slip a piece of paper under her left bracelet. So she's probably passing some crucial information to whoever she's working for. But yeah, I called this card Mata Better Hotfixie, and it didn't happen.
What?
Yeah, Mata Better Hotfixie. And it was
like
not
that.
hotfixed. Because I think that this card is gonna be very frustrating to see if you are not playing it and your opponent is. Especially if they play it late. I think the disparity between the points your opponent is going to get and you are going to get is gonna be massive. Because possibly what can you get in the last few turns of the game if your opponent plays Matahari? You're gonna get an engine most likely, like something that is 4 provisions, and that's like 4 points mostly, and you're not gonna have the time to develop it, and your opponent can get essentially anything. It could be a 10 power unit, it could be a 15 power unit, it could be Oak. for what you know, or Morgvark. It could be anything.
Could be anything. Yeah.
And that anything usually would be a lot of points. Especially if you mulligan well.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, there was like a huge discussion on Twitter about that card with a lot of content creators and like pro players. But I think most of the people are fine with the card.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
I think it's a little
feels
bit too
altered
cheap
well,
or
but-
overstated. I think they should either bump the provisions or lower her power a little bit. Plus, the one thing that I don't like is she incentivizes mill, and that's not the archetype I want to see ever.
Okay, I'm with you on that one. I am very anti-mill. I am with you there.
I mean, yeah, could. I don't think Mill's gonna be viable because of this card, but
It's never gonna be viable because it doesn't have points, and the last few expansions we've actually seen a crippling power creep. Like it's getting there. It's like every expansion, every content update, like there's more and more power creep, and you can see that on the example of Barghest, right? Because I think that's one thing that people also discussed quite a lot. Is
Barghest?
you have Barghest, which is a new card, and it's 5/5, deploy, consume an allied unit, and order dominance, consume an allied unit. And nothing wrong with this card, except if you compare it to the Harpy, which is 5/5, consume an allied unit, and it doesn't have an order effect.
oh wow,
Yeah,
yeah, they just printed the better card so people can play it.
pretty much.
Yeah.
But, yeah, rather than just changing Harpy, they've just added a
I
new
mean,
card
they
that's
should
buff Harpy.
really look at some of the old cards to make them at the same power level as the new cards.
I think that was the point with the promise they made back in September. That was early. That was actually
Yeah,
July,
yeah,
I think.
longer, yeah.
When Novigrad expansion dropped, they said they're gonna rework bronzes to be on the same power level as the bronzes in Syndicate and Skellige. And it happened to a certain degree, but not everywhere. I think that some factions got more reworks than others. So hopefully, the next few patches we're gonna see that back. Except when Slama said during the roadmap stream, "Oh yeah, we are gonna drop a new patch this Tuesday, and it's gonna significantly reshape the meta." This is what I was expecting. I was expecting some reworks, some older cards that don't get the love and that don't see any playtime, and instead we just get a new expansion.
Yeah, and a
But
really
he wasn't wrong.
really small hotfix.
Oh yeah, the hotfix. But to be honest, is there that many things that should be hotfixed?
I mean, if you buff like Crown Mother, I feel like you need to buff like the Flying Radiant as well to make it the same power level. Like Roach is a neutral, so Roach should be the same. But
Yeah.
I feel like they should just buff other cards too. Like if you're at it, just do it.
Yeah. But Crow Mother is actually in a good spot, so yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, Crown Mother's really
Except
good
I
now.
think
Crow
it
Mother's
might
great.
be easier to get the ship out in Crow Mother. But on the other, you only need to play an alchemy card.
Yeah, right. You have
Yeah,
a bunch of alchemy cards now.
I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's not-
retract that statement. I think it's easier to play an alchemy card than to get 9 coins.
Yeah,
Much easier, yeah.
exactly. So that's why I tweeted about it and like talking about it now. Like I feel like you should, if you're buffing some cards that you can compare with other cards, then you should definitely buff the other cards too. So
And
that's-
speaking of tweeting and there being some shady business in the new expansion, I've seen a lot of people tweeting about the new raids cards actually, because there's 2 of them. And I saw Red Rain having to say something about that. I saw Panda having to say something about that. It is pretty annoying to play against because this can be absolutely abused.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, the rates can be quite problematic, can't they? You can just fill your opponent's row, right?
Yeah, I think the screenshot that Red Rain posted on the TRS Discord was he was 4 or 5 turns into a long round 3, and his side of the board was already full with rats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I know Bane has been playing that deck a lot. And he's been making a lot of memes out of it, like, here are some rats, and here are some rats, and I give you some rats.
And then he plays Lambert.
And then he plays Lambert to kill the rats. But he's doing it in like a meme friendly way. But there are some people that are just not playing Lambert at all, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the same kind of people who also play Enslave on the day on the patch day. Like, yeah, we have all these new cards, all these synergies. Let's play Enslave.
Yeah, but it's interesting how always with every new expansion there is some degenerate strategy released.
Yeah.
Before it was no unit decks, now you have the rats abuse strategy. It's interesting.
As weird as it is, I don't mind it. I like that these quirky things, they're not necessarily going to win you every game. They're not going to work. You're not going to climb well with it. It's frustrating as hell to play against, but at least it's new. Even if it's not intentional, it gets changed. At least people are trying new things. At least there are new options in Gwent to mess around, not just ladder.
Yeah, and speaking of new things, scenarios. I absolutely love them. They are amazing. This is my favorite addition to the game.
Yeah, they are really cool.
And I know of at least 2 factions that can cycle through the entire scenario in a single turn. I think that's Skellige and Novigrad.
Oh, yeah. That's really impressive. You have to build around it a little bit, but it's really impressive if you can
Skellige
do it in
isn't
one
really that
turn.
hard.
No.
If you play Second Wind, it's actually pretty easy.
Yeah, like Villa and I, we played against called the Harmony Shoop. And they triggered it in one turn, and they had like a bunch of those. What are those else called? That
The dice.
tokens.
Yeah,
The
dead
tokens. Yeah,
eyes.
the dead eyes. And then they played the power gold card with
Vernosil.
Furnaceal, and then we just got destroyed. Yeah,
Yeah, but Feign Death is probably one of my favorite arts, actually. Just on a side note.
it's really good.
Oh, the premium for that's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It really is. No, it's nice to see a whole new mechanic. It's something else we need to build around. I'm glad that they're classed as artifacts rather than their own entirely separate thing. Because I really enjoy them. I think they're great, and I'd like to see more of them.
To be honest, they might want to change that at some point. So either you limit artifact removal, or you make scenarios a separate
I
separate
think
type
if
of
you make them
card.
separate, you're admitting to the death of artifacts effectively. I get that a 4-point remove, like 4 or 5 provision removal, getting rid of your 14 provision card is a problem, but risk reward. That card 9 times out of 10 is ridiculous. You can cycle through the whole thing in one turn. You're
Not
guaranteed
in
you win a
all
round.
cases, but in some cases, and you have
Yeah.
to build your deck around it. And at least in case
Why
of
wouldn't you, though?
Novigrad, you actually need to mulligan and thin properly. So like you have to sacrifice a lot of power to just make sure that you get the cards that you need.
Oh yeah, definitely. But the value of them is pretty good. I'd be interested to see if they put non-gold scenarios that are perhaps less effective later down the line, and we get more of them if it seems to go across well. I
Yeah,
think we
for
will.
example, scenarios that would only
Don't
include
think so.
one chapter, for instance.
Mm.
And maybe instead of playing a specific card, maybe inserting a specific effect, like if you bleed your enemy, or if you poison your enemy, or if you lock your enemy, something like
Yeah,
that.
trigger if.
Yeah, trigger if, exactly. But overall, I'm a huge fan of these cards.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever go shorter chapter wise. I think I like that they're like 3-stage effects. It adds something else, and I think we'll actually see them potentially having like arena only versions where it's 3, 4, 5 like chapters maybe later down the line. I can see them doing something like that, really quirky stuff rather than leaders. Maybe having scenarios instead.
Oh yeah.
As in arena, maybe that kind of thing, something designed for that, because there's so much potential for these.
yeah, but I don't think you want to print too much of them though.
No,
Because
No.
you can just drop them, and then you get more like these no unit kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
decks.
And
Yeah.
I think there is already enough decks that play very few units.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird, because I feel like the meta could potentially be either no units or swarm. Like you see a lot of swarm decks these days, and that's another point I would like to talk about. But to just stay within the scope of artifacts, I think there's a lot of work that went into those cards, because they feel balanced. Like I think the triggers are fair. They don't feel broken. And if you even look at the art, they just went so much effort into making these cards really stand out.
I mean, they had to come with a big surprise, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they
Definitely.
had to go with the blast.
Oh yeah, and when it comes to art, one thing that I noticed is the cards that is now on the screen, the Passiflora, the illustration was made by Astor Alexander, and if you don't know the guy, he actually did a lot of fan art for The Witcher 3. So it's another great example of CDPR hiring somebody from the player community.
That's pretty cool. I did not know that.
No, I didn't
Rated
either.
high.
Yeah, but it's really nice that they did that. And
I
to
mean,
be honest, we've already used that card for some meme potential. It's absolutely lovely.
No.
Yeah, you could find it in our Discord.
Oh yeah, you can find our Discord, and I think we're gonna cycle back to this card towards the end of the podcast to explain what we mean by the memes. Okay, guys, Swarm. There is a lot of Swarm decks.
Yeah, we tried Skeleton Swarm.
Yep.
We got destroyed of it because if there's a lot of removal, you are gonna struggle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Also, Harmony just outpoints you. Doesn't work.
Yeah, Harmony outpoints you as well. Like we had a long round against Harmony. We
Yeah,
had
I
no
feel like
chance.
these days going a long round against anything Squirtle is just a misplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Instant
is.
loss.
You pretty much
Yeah.
have to bleed them all.
Because what are you gonna run into when you are playing against Koya? Harmony. You have the Elf Swarm. It seems pretty okay. It doesn't seem overpowered. It doesn't seem too strong. It just seems okay. You have the Dwarf Swarm, but still pretty much viable. So that's already 3 decent decks, and they are all Swarm based because Harmony is kind of swarmy. Like you have to swarm. You want to set up your Oak.
Yeah, with the Flightslings, you mean?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
Mystic
yeah.
Echo. So you like if you are lucky, you can put 4 cards on the board in one move.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is swarmy in its nature, and yes, Skellige Swarm is there as well with the crows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have, of course, with monsters, you can spawn a bunch of rats
Everything's-
on your own
yeah.
side of the board, and then more wood
Yeah. Vormwood.
Or Glusty.
or Glusty,
Oh yeah,
whatever is better.
actually the rat strategy with Glusty is pretty damn strong.
It's kind of crazy, like, because back in the day, Glusty was really good with Aratus Queen, the ability, the Swarm ability, and then they nerfed that ability, and now they printed some cards that actually benefit Glusty again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you see that a lot. You see some nerfs or some cards that don't really make much sense when they are printed or reworked, and then a couple of expansions later, they print more cards, and all of a sudden everything comes together.
Yeah.
I think we can call poison that. Like, Novigrad had a couple of poison options that were there for no reason at all. Like they were not part of any kind of archetype. We had the Rod Tosser and Fangs of the Empire, and people were just wondering why are these cards even here.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you get an expansion that really brings poison to the level of an archetype.
Yeah. And I suppose you can't release everything in one go, right? So it's while we sort of complain that they were random cards, the fact that they are always working in the background to make them viable gives me hope for future archetypes that are perhaps a little underpowered.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
They are looking at this, but if you drop everything in one go, naturally some things just won't see play. So it's good that they're giving us this like in stages almost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And one thing that I noticed is we all know how prevalent the defenders were the last couple of patches.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen a single defender this week. Not a one.
Not many, at least.
Yeah,
No,
that's
no.
more
Northern
because-
Realms I've seen a few, but not other than that.
Wait,
They
really?
got
Northern
hit
Realms?
pretty hard, and
Yeah.
then there's just when those defenders already got hit pretty hard, and there's just other new, more exciting and better options. It
Oh yeah.
feels like defenders are pretty much again pointless at this point.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you want to play value cards, right? So
Yeah.
defenders are no longer that much value anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Plus you have cards like Vincent van Morlehem that straight up removes
Oh,
defenders.
Yeah,
That's really
What a great card.
So yeah, if you
so-
play let's say Novigrad versus Novigrad, this guy is what? He's 13 points. because you just remove
Yeah,
the
yeah.
seven
I mean,
power body.
they did not change the NG defender, right? That's still really good.
Yeah, and
I
they
believe.
didn't change the monster defender. I think the cave
Oh
troll
yeah,
is still what it was.
that's still
Yeah.
alright then. But the defenders that they nerfed, you don't see them that much anymore. But
Yeah.
that's usually the case when cards get nerfed.
Yeah.
People are a little bit anxious about playing them.
And defenders are not particularly cheap. They are nine provisions, I think. But
Yeah,
now with the scenarios and cards like Mada, you are really gonna struggle to find enough provisions. And of course, we can't forget about the engines being more expensive.
Yeah, that's true. The Portal, well, the death of Portal. Right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they did nerf a lot of 4 proficient cards to 5 proficient.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Portal's
Essentially,
effectively-
almost all portable engines are now 5 provisions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think was a good call because, one of the first episodes, I specifically complained about Portal being very, very prevalent. And they kind of did that in 2 steps. First, they increased the provision cost of Portal to see if it changes, the prevalence of the card. And then they changed the engines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good approach, though.
Plus, with defenders being around, some engines got really insane value.
Yeah, definitely. It was very difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
for
it
example,
seems fair. Yeah, Villa, go on.
Yeah, for example, if you played Javed and Portal with Seductress, that was almost impossible to beat.
Yeah, that was essentially game
Pure
over.
example.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was really nuts. But
Yeah, so it's actually pretty nice how they went about it because they could have hotfixed the defenders. They could have nerfed them the last patch. They didn't. They just wanted to wait and see how things develop, and now you got them not really that much nerfed. It's just the meta moved to another place.
yeah.
Shifted. And
Yeah, exactly. The cards are still. Although, if anything, now I'd say Portal at 13 provisions is a never play rather than a sometimes play. I actually think it'll go the other way and it'll get a provision nerf because it's pointless in anything but bleed. At this point, you wouldn't include it.
Well, I mean, Portal is still pretty good in Ana. There are some 4 provision cards you
oh yeah,
can pull out.
Yeah, Maulers.
Just for an instant point drop.
Example.
Yeah, 29s.
yeah, you can still get out some value out of Portal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and
don't see
to
it
be honest, I've seen a
that
lot
much.
of Pincer. Like it's still
you
more
will.
than viable. It's still out there.
Yeah, Pincer is like maybe the second best leader ability after Mystic Echo
Yeah.
right now.
I haven't seen Wildcard, to be honest.
We tried it a little bit, Villa and I, but
Yeah. I mean, it still seems decent, but definitely gets out.
To be honest, when it comes to Syndicate, the faction is very complex. I feel like the reason why there is not so many Syndicate decks yet is it just takes more time to fine-tune them.
Yeah, I think the new cards they've dropped as well. If you look at their like the Passiflora and the Peaches, it's horde based,
Peaches.
so you're not going to see as much play from Wildcard initially because people want to try the new cards. So you're going to see more jackpot decks for the horde abilities and things like that.
yeah.
I would say so. We're going to see more jackpot initially when
Yeah.
people decide whether it's actually worth the trade up to get rid of Wildcard. Then we'll see if Wildcard comes back. But for now, I've only come up against jackpot because the cards are all designed for coin spam. The new ones,
Oh,
anyway.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were trying to make other viable leader
Yeah,
abilities in Syndicate because they weren't. There was one. It was Wildcard, and that was it. So I think the cards they've put in to almost not be Wildcard is quite a good idea. So we get more play out of Syndicate rather than a single leader.
It's not only about the leader ability. I think it's also about different playstyle because
Yeah.
when it comes to Syndicate, you always had one playstyle that was more prevalent than the others. For example, first we had Bounty, that was just played in every single Syndicate deck, and then we had the Wildcard Shenanigans, and now people are trying out Horde. I think it just takes a lot of time for people to get used to Syndicate and figure it out.
Yeah,
There's nothing that goes
perhaps.
into a Syndicate deck, so
But yeah, people are trying hard. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
We'll
it's just not that obvious. It's not like, you have NR and they got all the siege cards, so you're like, okay, I'm just gonna play siege engines. It's very obvious that you are gonna try it out. or you have the Deadeye spam in Squirtle. It's just you just look at the cards,
Mm-hmm.
and the synergies were right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here it requires some more thinking, and then also Syndicate has more cards than any other faction, so I guess that could be a problem as well. There's just more
they do
options
it?
for.
Yeah, that's also true.
They got, I did like some of the cards that they got.
For instance,
With the 7th provision guy, what's he called?
Oh, Ludovicus.
Is he called like no? It's not the gnome. It's the guy that has horde.
Oh,
Yeah,
Saul.
yeah.
Saul.
Yeah, Saul. Oh yeah, that's
Saul.
the guy called Saul.
Never
Saul.
call Saul.
Yeah, that
no,
guy.
it's
He's
Sire,
pretty cool.
Saul.
Yeah, Saul.
Better Call
Saul,
Saul.
Yeah.
Saul.
Saul the
Yeah,
number
that's quite good. Yeah.
No. That
What?
guy. Yeah.
This
There he
one?
is.
Saul.
Yeah. Saul the not red. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting card.
It's a really interesting card, especially for jackpot with like Bincy and like Sea Jackals and stuff. Although Sea Jackals, you want to spend the coins, so you wait with Sea Jackal, right? I guess as last play or something, and then you play this guy first.
Yeah, it's an engine, right?
It's an engine, like it's. I try. I like the card, but then you need to be careful with when do you decide to spend your coins.
Yeah.
Because you also want to generate points on Bincy if you play them both.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
But I do like a card like this. It's really cool. Cool
Yeah,
engine.
it motivates people to try out different things in Syndicate.
Yeah. What else?
Yeah. What new cards do we get that are very interesting other than the scenarios? We got the Stratagems.
Oh, yeah. The stratagems.
Stratagems.
We haven't talked about it. 12 new stratagems, right? 12.
Okay. Oh yeah, we could just do it like this. Hello, all cards, stratagems, unowned, owned. Okay.
I don't think they have the tag or anything, or do they?
No, they are a separate category, so you can find them like that. You have stratagem here.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering. In most cases, there is no reason to play tactical advantage at all. You can just play the magic lamp.
Yeah, magic lamp. People are playing
the
magic
genie.
lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's very few instances in which boosting your card by 5 is gonna be the right play.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you also play into total removal most of the time.
Oh yeah.
And with
It's risky.
magic lamp, it's just another body.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of card that we are gonna see more and more in the future. Just more and more stratagems to incentivize people to play other archetypes.
Yeah. I really like the idea of them printing those kind of cards. And nobody, the thing is, like, people are always complaining about like coin flip and stuff, like blue coin or red coin, what is better. And you only have tactical advantage. So
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
still like a big issue sometimes. But now with all these stratagems,
Yeah.
you can decide what your blue coin is. So that's really cool. You cannot really complain about it anymore.
Yeah.
I do think it's a massive improvement. I think when we used to complain about like blue coin a lot, when they put in tactical advantage, it wasn't perfect, but it felt like it was a lot better than it used to be. And we almost thought, okay, they've fixed it. Let's just move on. I never even considered the idea of them customizing it, and I absolutely love it. I think the changes that it makes or the changes it opens up are huge, and it's just something that I hadn't even considered. I was just like, yeah, we don't have to worry about coin flip anymore. Although we'd almost got to the point where, but last meta at least, it felt like it was better to go first, not second. So I think having the variety in this will be interesting to see how that balances up now.
Yeah, it feels like a natural development.
Yeah.
You made that first step with tactical advantage, and then over time, you got more and more ideas, but it's not the kind of card that you can just release one off. Right? You need to release a whole bunch of them so that nobody feels, let's say, discriminated in a way that, okay, this faction has like 3 or 4 and we have 1.
Yeah.
So that's why it required, I think, more time to just get them out there. But they are really cool. I like the synergies that they offer. And once again, the art for these cards is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Especially the Squirtle one.
Yeah, I mean, for
Yeah,
sure.
Saber.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And there's like, if you look at the Saber, it's not only that, it's the saber, you have the portal, and there's something there on the other side of the portal. It looks like a monument, like a statue of some sort. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see something.
It's a person, maybe. I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
it looks like it's made out of stone, so I think there might be an Easter egg. And speaking of which, we absolutely have to talk about the Easter eggs this expansion. There is some of them.
Yeah, there are quite a few.
Like we already talked about one, the Madahari with the piece of paper, and Syndicate, right? The townsfolk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I was talking about another one actually.
Yeah, but it features townsfolk. It was
Show me.
I'm trying to figure out which card it was. Do you guys remember what the card was called?
Was it the gnome?
No, but there is also when it comes to the gnome, you can see that this tiger's eye, which then, by the way, the name is an Easter egg of its own. Eye of the tiger, tiger's eye. Like there's something going on. And if you look at the gnome, you can see that diamond in his card.
Yeah, that's the one that I was talking about. But is that the one with the townsfolk?
No. The one with townsfolk was some Ophiri guy. Oh god, maybe somebody in chat knows. Like, guys, can you please monitor chat? I think somebody in chat knows which card it was. It was a gold Ophiri something.
No, they're talking about the bloody good Easter egg, which is also really cool. Like, it tells you a story.
Oh yeah,
I know. A neutral Ophiri merchant. That's the one you're talking about. Oh yeah, I think. Yeah.
Is the card called just
Ophiri neutral, right? It's a neutral, I think. Provision neutral.
Oh yeah, thank you, chat. Yeah, that's it. That's Ophiri merchant. You can see the townsfolk in the background, which is very nice.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I did not even know about that one.
No, I
And
didn't notice.
it's especially cool that, normally you see that when they print all these cards at the same time, like Kira and Lambert.
Yeah.
In this case, it was a couple of expansions later.
That's so cool.
Oh yeah, and obviously we have. I think that's my favorite. It's not really an Easter egg, but these two guys are lovely. So you have Dula Hamani, and he's training with Geralt. You can see some guy working on a sword in background, and then you have the rune rite, and you see exactly the same scene, except from a different perspective. So now you have the rune rite working on the sword, and you see Dula and Geralt trading in the background. This is really nice. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I also love playing it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's just another two cards that incentivize people to play Shup.
Yeah, the chat's just mentioned in the Ophiri Merchant, you can actually see the Lamp of Jinn at the bottom as well.
What?
If you look, the Lamp of Jinn is actually sat at the bottom underneath the Merchant. It's one of the things that he's selling. It reminds me of the merchant
it is.
at the beginning of Aladdin.
Good eye,
Jinn
chat.
sat there.
Oh yeah, it's amazing how they do it.
Yeah.
I'm actually wondering if that's the same artist. So this is.
I mean, that would be really cool actually if it was the same artist.
No, it's not.
No.
It's a different artist.
So they just talked about it.
I guess what CDPR did is they sent this card, they sent Townsfolk to the artist, and they said, okay, these two people have to be featured in the new card.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, the Easter eggs are strong this expansion. There's a couple of them. Like, I really like them.
Yeah, really love them.
Yeah, I hadn't even noticed them really that much before we even went to this.
Yeah, and how do you guys feel about the overall theme of the expansion? Because we have Ophir cards that are, I would say, spread across the board, because Anar got some, which doesn't really make much sense lore-wise. I think there is a couple of neutrals. Syndicate got some.
Yeah, Syndicate
some
got some.
well.
Like that's what they said, right? Ophiri merchants. got invested in Novigrad.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. But
That makes sense.
yeah,
but...
like, in our cards, that's. I was talking to Brazzer, and he just calls in our the neighbors of Nilfgaard. Because that's how it seems. Because if you are in chat and if you are unaware, in the Witcher lore of here is actually a country. It's a land south of Nilfgaard that doesn't interact with the north. They do a lot of trading and diplomatic missions with Nilfgaard, but they don't interact with the northern realms. So they are not in the north. They are south of Nilfgaard, and nobody really knows why they are in the north. It kind of seems awkward. Even if those were just some Ophiri mercenaries, they would have to travel through Nilfgaard or around Nilfgaard to get there.
Yeah, maybe it's not as lore friendly, but it's definitely a really cool concept.
Yeah, and we have some of these concepts, like why the vampires in Nilfgaard.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense.
What's the thing with that? Like
why?
When they talked about vampires on the dev stream, I was like, oh, vampires were monsters, but
Apparently not.
they happen to be in NG.
Yeah, I think it's Lionheart's boss who has something to say about the vampires.
Ignore that. As always.
Yeah, like personally, what I think would be a much better option is if they just went with the old assassination theme. Like, you know, in the world of aristocracy, like the older nobles are always killing each other for, you know, to gain more political power and stuff like that. So yeah. Like poisoning your political opponent or stabbing him, that would make more sense than the whole vampire thing. But the cards are amazing. That just the theme kind of feels awkward. But speaking of Easter eggs and themes, guys, I know I was talking about it on my own stream, but doesn't Philippe look like Bebo?
Yeah, I saw him tweet about this. It really does.
He really does. And there's one more card that looks like two people from the Gwent community.
So yeah, I think Philippe looks like Bebo, and I actually call him Bebo now. Bebo from more like him. And this guy kind of looks like another streamer that we were very fond of back in the day. You know, with the hairstyle and the mustache. Doesn't he kind of look like?
Like kind of like Repelmer.
Yeah, he looks like Repelmer a little bit.
Oh yeah, and yeah, I was talking about the neutral that gives poison and has order and gives poison again.
Oh god, I forgot his name. But we could just do poison, I think, and find that.
Yeah.
Not poison. Poison. Oh yeah, it's morale.
Let me see. I have to wait for the delay. Yes, that guy. It looks like Dogma on the left that I met last weekend, and on the right it looks like Gnurgard.
I have no idea how these guys look like.
You have to look them up on Twitter later. But yeah, they definitely look like them.
Yeah,
even Malegian pointed it out.
Yeah, but it's amazing art nonetheless.
And
to be honest, we see a lot of new artists. Like if I look at these, you know, like this guy, Carl Bem, I don't think he designed any other cards or like any cards previous to this expansion.
Oh yeah.
And the same goes for Astor Alexander. I think that's the first expansion he's been working with CDPR on. So there's new artists, a lot of them, and they are making great cards.
Yeah, they are. I mean, maybe they have been working for CDPR for a long time, but
we didn't know
like
that.
Cards, and we didn't know, and like they finally get their cards released.
Yeah, so now that we are here, now that we are talking about art and cards and stuff like that, what is your favorite card of this expansion?
Matsahuri.
Fucking DJ, mate!
Hey, don't swing. We have a kid on the podcast, remember?
Kid-friendly podcast, please.
Vilek, close your ears. Yeah, I can see why Mada Better Hot Fixie is your favorite card.
I mean, she was the character she's based on was born in my hometown, so that's why I'm favored. So yeah,
it makes sense. Like The ability is great, and lore-wise, it's a very flavorful card. Villa,
yeah.
your favorite card of this expansion?
Rodea. I like the fact that we have another kind of card that rewards you. And I love the fact that it spawns the stratagems. I simply like this card a lot.
These Shoop fanboys. Like, why am I even working with you guys? Chat, for the season 2, we'll have 2 openings when it comes to co-hosting the podcast. You can apply by just sending a message to me.
we will just leave ourselves out.
Okay, Lionheart, it's your turn now. Please, let it be a decent card.
I was actually going to say Rodea.
Guys,
I adore that card. I love it.
Guys,
Yeah, it's really cool.
do.
Yeah.
So, the Merchants of Novigrad, only you standing. Aside from, I do love Vincent just because of how quickly he's destroyed defenders, but I am a massive Shoot fan. It's hard, it's got to be, to make him viable again, I love. So, probably is
sometimes I wish I had my soundboard on this podcast. But is it both the art and the ability, or is it only the ability you guys are talking about when picking a favorite card? I would say.
I mean, for Matahuri, I definitely like the lore behind it and like the card art and ability. So from this time, it's actually the whole package, but usually it's art, I think.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with a different card because you guys are talking about golds that see a lot of play. I'm gonna go with a card that hasn't seen any play, I think Van Morhem Servant is my favorite art. Because some of you might know, but I'm really into history and history of art as well. And this just looks like a painting from the 1600s.
The art is lovely.
Yeah,
It's
it looks like Vermeer or Caravaggio could have painted it.
I don't know anything about art. I have no say in.
Yeah, I got that notion.
Yeah.
I do like it, yeah.
No, it is nice.
And of course, I wouldn't. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna mention 2 cards, and I wouldn't be myself if we didn't mention this kind of card. I like Passive Pitches. That's a very, very tasty card.
That's also really good.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah, Lionheart cannot say anything more because the meme is gonna float on top of the chat.
Lionheart's saying nothing. Lionheart is remaining quiet as ever.
Yeah, actually, I think towards the end of the chat, the end of the podcast, we could drop some more info about the memes coming.
Sure.
In that regard,
Yes,
Lionheart doesn't seem too thrilled, but we are.
Yeah.
How I end up in so many of these memes is beyond me. And don't answer. It was rhetorical. Oh dear.
Oh god, we even got some copy pasta, I think, in chat.
Yeah,
Wow.
we do.
And that's not Aitori.
It's not Aitori?
It's not.
Oh, wow.
Okay, guys, back to the serious discussion. Fewer, more spread out expansions. That's what they announced during the roadmap. Because I think we talk a lot about the expansion. Sorry, guys. I have a tough morning. We talk about the art, we talk about the mechanics, how they drop the expansion, how cool all of it is. But we actually also got a roadmap, the official roadmap for 2020. First impressions, guys.
We did. I mean, first impressions, season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Let's leave out season 2 for the next segment. But
Okay.
just overall their approach to expansions and patches, because they said they right now we have a 3-month development schedule, which means an expansion every 3 months, and they said they wanted to be a little bit more spread out. So I don't think they gave us any concrete information about how many expansions it's gonna be.
No.
It could be 2, it could be 3.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to do every 4 months. So just a couple. But the thing is, for me personally, is sometimes when the expansion hits, there's a lot of hype, people are playing for a couple months, and then after a couple months, the meta is kind of getting still. So when they decide to bring out lesser expansions, I really hope that the patches in between will be really good for the game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
I
Yeah.
definitely need to see some more reworks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, otherwise, yeah, I don't think people. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Unless we get some more progression that isn't just exclusively climbing the ladder to get to pro rank for the sake of pro rank,
yeah,
less frequent expansions will mean less play. So I'll be interested to see what their intention is in between.
Oh,
I think we may end up actually on a 2-year cycle rather than 3 in terms of expansions, and I don't mind that as long as there's content and enough content to build through that. So if we've got an expansion, there needs to be a plan for every second month of what's going to be part of that expansion that we're going to see, or how are they going to shift things. Because otherwise it will become very stale very quickly.
Oh yeah.
I mean, of course, the competitive players will just play. But
Yeah, but
for
you
the
have to remember
people-
that even though we often talk about the competitive players and the competitive scene in general, they are a minor fraction of the player base.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to keep the game interesting for everyone, not only the top players who aspire to play the tournaments.
Yeah.
So yeah, but personally, I would prefer like more smaller updates, the way it was in beta. So every other month, a couple of cards, doesn't need to be an expansion. I think the same effect could be achieved through reworks, especially since there's so many cards from early Homecoming that see very little play.
Yeah.
But still, I think I would prefer smaller updates in rather than huge expansions.
Agreed. Yeah, I'd like that too. I think actually releasing 2 expansions a year would be fine if we just get regular updates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's regular, if you know what to expect and when to expect it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the main problem with the roadmap as well. Not a lot of the information, a lot of things that people expected as well, but not many dates.
It is a little vague, isn't it? Although some of that's like corporate led, some of that's that they can't physically tell us, I guess. But it is very frustrating as a community not to have that information, even in a less vague way. Even if it was a month, it would be better.
Yeah, like I mean, like they did gave us a couple dates, but yeah.
Mostly regarding season 2.
Yeah, like it starts in March or like right.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like we don't know when the observer mode is coming.
The spectator mode.
The spectator mode.
Yeah.
For the tournaments and stuff, we don't know. Arena, we don't know.
So yeah, the website, the automated tournaments that they announced.
Yeah.
And I was talking about that on my own stream, and people were saying, "Oh, it's not really that important." But I think that from the perspective of somebody who wants to organize a tournament, it is crucial information.
Massive.
Like, you need to know that because
know.
you want to know when to organize a tournament to have all these features that will help you make it happen. Because right now it's a major pain in the ass to get it done. Because only CDPR has access to the spectator client.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is. I know Bushi, he had a lot of struggles, I think.
Oh yeah.
Imagine.
Organizing the tournament.
Yeah.
And it's weird because you see tournaments like what was it? EGC? ECG?
EGC.
I forgot the acronym.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty sizable tournament. The top 6, they flew all those people to Italy. It was, you can see all the effort, but still they had to go through that. Let me invite you to my friends list and let's play a friendly stuff. That's just awkward.
Yeah, it feels more cumbersome than it needs to for something that already exists. It's and more community tournaments. Once we've got them and the client exists and it's usable, I think the people who don't see the value of it will look back and think, how did we ever exist without this? If that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
There will be so much more happening, so much more able to happen without ridiculous amounts of effort from content creators, which currently it is. It will still be a lot of work. It's never going to be easy to set a tournament up, but the base tools being there will make such a difference.
I mean, of course, like when you are organizing an event, you always have to have the venue and the PCs and proper connection and all that stuff. That makes it very difficult. And just as you said, without any kind of spectator mode and automated tournaments, it's just even worse. Like you are already going through so much effort to just make it happen, and then you have a pile of tech issues that you have to solve in order to actually let people play.
Yeah, that have already been solved. We already know it's fixable.
Oh yeah. And Lethal Damage actually brought up a good point in chat. The consoles. Yeah, as we all know, the support for consoles is gonna run out, or it has already run out. I don't think the latest expansion is available.
No, it's not. Yeah.
It's not.
But didn't they promise that? I don't remember.
No.
I don't think so. No, I think they pretty much said you can still play it for the next 6 months,
but not the newest content.
Yeah, the newest content won't release. They immediately turned off purchases so that people didn't feel like they'd wasted money, and everything's transferable.
Imagine how hard it is for console players. I know that it's only a small fraction of the overall player base.
It's less than 4%, and that was before mobile, so it's now less than 1% of players.
Yeah, but still, if you are playing on console and then you get the first blow because oh shit, the game is not going to be supported, and then the second blow is there is a new expansion that you cannot even play.
Mm-hmm. That's almost like salt in the wounds.
It's like salt in the wounds, exactly.
You truly feel left out.
They are just rubbing it in.
Yeah.
They could have
I think
done
it was
earlier.
inevitable, though. I think it was always going to happen. I honestly thought they'd wait for the end of this console cycle because it's only 12 months. So I'm a little surprised they did it so early.
Shouldn't they done it like earlier now? Like if they know they were gonna drop the expansion, so people could actually play the expansion. I think that's really badly done by CD Projekt Red, though.
And by the way, I literally just exploded, pointing out that the consoles were an equivalent of 4% of income, not 4% of the player base. So it could actually be more than 4%.
It could be more, it could be more, but equally it could be less. It's hard to tell. In terms of new downloads of Gwent onto consoles, it's less than a percentage of 1% of people actually downloading Gwent onto consoles in the last 6 months. It's like negligible numbers to the point where you're not even in four figures. It's terrifying how little it is. But it's still, they've still done it a little bit strangely to release the new content at the same time as saying, no, you can't play it to them. I honestly thought they would give it to the remainder of this console cycle because literally it's October this year. So, but I guess they're struggling to develop for Android and iOS and PC and Xbox and PlayStation. It's a whole extra dev team that's freed up, I guess, and a lot of spare cost.
I would say regardless of the circumstances, it's a very short notice nonetheless.
Yeah, it's literally today, it was 2 days? Oh, we're not supporting it, by the way, have an expansion that you can't play.
Oh, yeah, just as Villa just said, salting the wounds.
Yeah, exactly.
You are mourning the fact that you are not going to be able to play Gwent on consoles, long-term speaking, and then they just release a new expansion that you cannot play either.
Just get the iOS, man.
Oh yeah, just sell your Xbox and buy an iPad or something. Kappa.
Yeah, doing it at the same time as Android release might have felt a little better because at least it's available to almost all mobile devices then. But yeah, it's a big wait if you're a console player.
Yeah. And another thing they announced is the Arena rework. I'm actually surprised it took them this long because Arena was not touched since beta, since its release, I would say. They only changed it once when they allowed you to pick the lead ability in the beginning of the drafting process and not the end. So that's nice. But on the other hand, Arena just feels... It's so fun to play once you get a good deck, but most of the time, you just get trash.
Yeah.
And these cards are completely unsynergized.
Yeah. No, I break more contracts before I play the first game than I actually play, because by the time you get through, you already know that deck is not going to get you even a few wins. Oh yeah, it's quite frustrating.
Yeah, that's what I was always saying when I played Arena, because I played whatever RNG gave me, but most of players just cycle a couple times through the draft to get a decent-ish deck.
Yeah, at least playable.
Mm-hmm. And another point is you are not getting dailies.
Yeah,
No, that is strange.
Yeah, as I told you guys before, it makes sense. It made sense in beta when the daily rewards were just currency, because Arena is very generous in that regard. But now,
Yeah, it is,
now
yeah.
the dailies give you reward points. They give the keys, so you are missing out.
Yeah.
I believe Gravekeeper said something really interesting about Arena. He's like the very big Arena player. I cannot really find it at the moment.
I think TA published an article on Arena a couple of months back.
Hmm.
Do you know what it said? Or?
Overall, they called for a rework of Arena, which is going to happen. We don't know exactly what they're going to change. Like they said, there's gonna be Arena-specific leader abilities, which is nice, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's it. That part was very vague. They just said, okay, we want to do it next year, but we don't know when.
Yeah.
We don't know the scope of the changes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been several months, since they said that they would rework Arena.
And another thing that they didn't narrow down when it comes to the timeline is the Android release. It's still Q1 2020. That's what, 90 days. Like
Yeah.
it could be
wow.
anywhere. It could be January the 1st. It could be March the 31st. Like we don't know.
It could actually be even more than that. They didn't specifically state whether it was year or financial year, so it could actually be anywhere in 6 months. So
Oh
they
yeah.
didn't specifically state whether it was their financial Q1.
I mean, I expect Android to release soonish.
I think it'll be end of February, early March, personally.
Yeah, February.
Yeah, I
Like
think so
that.
as well.
I think
I
they're
think
gonna
they
drag it
could
all the way
release
and
it
release
around the
it
time of
then.
Masters.
Yeah, I think they will use the Masters to plug it. I really do. Which makes sense.
The same way they did with iOS.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
can see it. But there's not even a sort of a closed beta that we're aware of. There might be, for all we know, but it doesn't seem like it's got to that stage yet of development. So there are working models of it, but it's nothing that's ready to go yet, if that makes sense. Android's so much harder to develop for than iOS because there's so many variables in hardware.
Yeah, it's difficult, and we had Pavel talking about that on the show, and we've seen
he
that
did mention that.
issue being addressed during the roadmap video as well. But we mentioned the Masters, so I think it's a good moment to actually move towards the competitive Gwent segment.
Yeah,
Sounds
Because
good.
finally we have a schedule, guys.
It only took a long time.
Yeah, it took like a year, I would say.
yeah.
Over
maybe
a year,
even more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a bit longer, yeah.
So yeah, I think that, guys, if you missed the roadmap, we actually have the schedule here for you. It's gonna be on the screen during, I think, for the remainder of the podcast, so you can always have a peek and see when the events are happening. So the Masters is in March, and the first Open is in April. So those 2 months are gonna be very eventful. But the one thing when it comes to Masters that I was really wondering is Life Coach gonna appear? Is he gonna play?
Ooh, life coach.
Big questions.
And BJ is in the dark. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I need
just went dark.
to adjust my.
Yeah, there he is. I think March may have been picked on the basis that they will be having that conversation in the background. I know there are players lined up. If I remember, I'm sure they said somewhere they'd got someone lined up if he didn't turn up. But I would say March has been picked so that he can, so that Life Coach can arrive. I'm sure they would do everything they can to make sure the 8 who should be there are there, because it would be better for them, better for Gwent, and obviously having someone of Life Coach's status, whether he wants the prize or cares or not, will be great for Gwent. So I'm sure they will have bent over backwards to convince him it's a good idea.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it would be bad publicity if he decides to not go, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I care so little about being in your best
very
tournament.
negative message to the public.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
they need him to play. They need him.
I'm curious, and I don't know the answer, and maybe some of the players who've won can tell us. I would be surprised if entry into the tournament doesn't come with a contractual obligation to attend Masters. If you win a tournament, I'd be surprised if it's not contractually written in that you are required to attend.
Yeah, that could be the case.
So, but I mean, I might be wrong, but I'd be very shocked if they didn't.
Yeah, on the other hand, I think it was you who said that that in such a long period of time, we are talking about 2 years, everything could happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Somebody could literally die, and that's exactly what you said.
Yes, and it's very true. The length of time they've left it, I'm sure he would have a decent argument not to. But I'm, as always, quietly hopeful that we will get the full lineup, and Life Coach will be one of those. I really hope so. I think
If he participates, it's gonna be good for Gwent. Because even if he doesn't enjoy the game anymore, even if he doesn't want to play the game anymore, just him being there is gonna somewhat motivate people from his community to give it a try.
Yeah. And it's not the Gwent that he left either. There's a lot of new stuff. There's a lot of change. It feels better than it did. So I'm sure, he seems like quite an open-minded, really good guy. So I'm sure he would at very least give it a go. I certainly hope so.
Yeah, we can actually see that a lot of people who quit Gwent at some point are now playing again. Swim is an example of that.
Yes,
I'm not sure if that's gonna be if that's a long-term commitment, but yeah, he's playing, he's streaming.
Well, for the last week, solidly, which is longer than last time, so we'll see.
Oh yeah, definitely. Which always reminds me of that Super JJ situation with Gwent.
Super JJ.
I'll be playing this more regularly. Also, bye.
Yeah, that was a big oof. And chat, if you're not aware, I think that was around the time of Crimson Curse, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Super JJ, who used to be a competitive player for Gwent, he started playing again, and he was playing for a couple of days, and he said, "Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna be playing long term. I'm gonna be playing on a more regular basis," and that was the last time he played Gwent.
Yeah, I even asked him on his stream, and he said, "No, I don't think I will ever come back to Gwent."
It's a shame.
Yeah.
But
you have to understand that if you are a professional player or even content creator, and the game goes into a 6-month or 10-month limbo, which actually was the case, like you have to find something else to do. Like you cannot stream Gwent and hope that everything is gonna be all right.
Oh, definitely. You made the right decision for him, and you
there's money on the line.
Yeah, exactly.
But who would replace a life coach if he decides to not go?
Villa.
I think.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure of the person, but the person with the most crown points, I believe, would be the one.
Isn't it Hana-chan?
I thought it was Hana-chan. I think Hana-chan's next in line in that event. I think he's the first alternate.
I mean, it would make sense. He also participated in a lot of tournaments already.
Yeah, I think he's got the next highest crown points.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, that would be fine. Hana-chan's a great player. Would be great for Gwent. A lot of people will watch because Hana-chan's playing. It would just be a shame not to get someone with the stature of Life Coach who's qualified. The very original, the first. Hosted his own tournaments and stuff, which was so. They were incredible. Such a fun time.
The value of these tournaments, they were all held at his own mansion.
Yeah.
So that was already something, and then he got all the casters and the hosts. Just doing what they normally do for opens and challengers. That was quite impressive.
He definitely set the bar, didn't he?
Oh yeah. Gwent in Gwent. We'll have to do our best, guys.
Hey, we'll make it happen.
Gwent in Gwent.
Gwent in Gwent.
Actually, at some point during next season of Merchants of Novigrad, we can ask one of our guests who confirmed yesterday that they're gonna be on the show if they're willing to do the hosting of the tournament.
I'm sure that will be a yes.
I mean, of course.
Is there anything else competitive that we want to discuss? Claymore is doing their thing, I think.
Yeah, they're always doing their thing, I believe.
Yeah. Normally we could discuss the prize pool and the format of the tournaments, but we don't actually know anything about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
They could do it totally different,
Mm.
Yeah, we just know when the opens are, and that's it.
Yeah. We know
so it's still very vague in that regard.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm surprised they've left it as vague as that, because it's a competitive, and we're encouraging competitive players, but they don't know what they're playing for, so it's not going to necessarily bring as many players back as you'd hope, because it's all well and good competing for a prize, but if you don't know what the prize is, how hard are you going to compete?
Oh yeah, exactly. And within, like, let's say my circle of people I know in Gwent, some people waited for the roadmap. They saw what the roadmap had to say about the competitive scene, and they said, "Okay, I'm done. It's just not enough."
It's just I know
Yeah.
I know some people that you.
Yeah, it's some TRS people as well.
Yeah.
Gwent community supports prize pool. Oh yeah, we need to know more about that.
Oh,
Yeah, what does that mean? How?
Yeah, we really need to know more because it's a hot topic. I know that some people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna support it," and that's great. But we actually need to know how it's gonna work. Are they going to reduce the prize pool, and are they gonna hope that the community is gonna bring it back to a respectable level, or do they keep the same prize pool and allow us to just tip something on top? Are we gonna get something in return? For example, some MTX, some cosmetics. We don't know anything.
Yeah, they're going to use the cosmetics, and everyone who buys this cosmetic, the funding for that goes towards the Masters prize pool, maybe, or things like that. That could be a sensible way of doing it, so that people will buy them anyway, but it supports it. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, we just need to know more, really.
Maybe crowdfund, something like that.
Yeah, it's basically what it is, but just asking.
Yeah.
I think that personally, and maybe I'm in the minority here, but just asking people for money is not very professional unless you give something back.
Yeah, it doesn't fill me with confidence for the financial standings of the professional scene if they're having to have us pay for it, if that makes sense, unless it's we're making the prize pool better by taking this element and allowing the community to be involved in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's all ifs and buts and maybes, isn't it, right? We don't know. We don't know. If it's a way of topping up the prize pool to be better than last year's, amazing. If it's we can't afford 10% of it and we're hoping you'll make it a little better, it's a little bit problematic.
Yeah. Shire of Us is asking, do you think tournament mode in Gwent will be ever introduced? Yeah, they're working on that. We just don't know when.
Yeah.
We saw some screenshots.
Yeah.
But guys, I think the discussion has gone slightly towards the negative corner. So I think we can move to the next segment, which is gonna be much more positive, and that's gonna be personal and Q&A. That's the segment we love.
Oh boy.
That's the segment we love.
Yeah.
We actually have some questions from the community, not that many.
We did gather some.
We did get some, yeah. It was nice.
Yeah.
We like questions.
And if you have any questions right now, you're free.
Now is your time to shine. You can ask us anything.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
But
that's the point of this episode, because this episode was an idea by Ville. And
See, I did something.
He did something. He was not silent. He actually came up with this idea, and we instantly thought it's great. Let's do it.
It's a good idea.
So this is a little ask me anything moment. So please, guys, if you want to ask us anything, we can even drop some leaks, I think, regarding season 2 of our show. But as I said, we gathered a couple of questions from the community, and I think I'm gonna start with this one. What's your favorite episode and why?
ooh,
Mine is the first one, just because it's really funny to look at when I disconnect and I'm completely I'm delayed like 5 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I mean, that's where the meme started, right?
Yeah, that's the comedic value on that episode is good, I think so.
Plus, I think it's really good to watch that episode to reflect on everything we did back then, because it only seems like 8 episodes. It's not that much, but on the other hand, it was a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
We started, I think, September the 14th or something like that. So it's been 3 months, guys.
Yeah. And
I actually liked that episode. It was fun.
Yeah,
especially that moment when Bebo just stood up and left.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Nobody knew what he was doing.
Oh yeah, and some episodes just felt really interesting. For example, when we had MacBeard on, and essentially he took over the show, and I felt more like a guest than a host. that was great too. That was a great experience.
Yeah, he just run the show.
Yeah, but BJ, your favorite episode, man?
I mean, of course, it's the one and only episode with Pavel Buja.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that guy was so open and he spoke so much about everything, personally for him, and also behind the scenes. And he gave us some leaks.
Yeah, he did.
Because it was during the time when the expansion was going to release. So I personally really loved that episode. Yeah, it was really great.
Lionheart, what was your favorite episode and why was it the episode with Tia?
Oh, you all suck so hard. It's difficult for me. Obviously, I joined halfway through the season, so as a viewer, for the first half of the season, the one with Powell was fantastic. It was really nice to see. It was so relaxed, but also full of amazing information. So as a viewer, it was that one. Obviously, having been part of the show for the second half, the most recent one we did with Zaid and Tia was very enjoyable. It was very relaxed. It was a period in Gwent where we hadn't got much to talk about yet. There was still a lot of Gwent love, if that makes sense, and it felt very natural. So I really did enjoy that. Unironically, that is actually my favorite episode. Yes.
And yeah, it's actually my favorite episode as well because as a host, whenever we have some high-profile guests, whether it's Pavo, whether it's McBeat, whether it's Taybot, you kind of feel the distance between you as a small-time content creator and somebody who's already made it and who is a well-known member of the community. Whereas when we had Zaid and Tia, they are kind of in the same league. So I felt more relaxed doing that episode.
Yeah, it was fun.
Plus, Zaid has just so many things to talk about. He's doing so much outside of his streaming, and Tia, with a very professional attitude, and we even had some psychology involved in the episode. That was really cool. Like I was honestly, I'm not sure if Tia is watching, but I was actually afraid that, oh my god, Tia is only streaming. She's fairly new to streaming as well. Is she gonna have enough to say? And she did an absolutely brilliant job on the show.
Yeah, she was great.
Like, might be actually an idea to invite her to work with us on Merchants at some point.
Hey, that would be cool, actually.
Yeah.
Just flexibility, diversity.
Yeah. Just saying, we haven't talked about it. We haven't talked about expanding the show. So. But yeah, it's an idea. We have a serious question from Red Rain.
There is.
What's your opinion on Shoop now that Shoop is competitive to the point where it feels like it's killing off a lot of room for synergy deck?
It's very directed to me.
Yes, and I can imagine why.
I wonder why. No, I mean, my opinion. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Shoop, and I feel like Redea makes Shoop decks even stronger. And so it does get to the point where it's getting competitive. So it's the meme about Shoop slowly disappearing, and it's that's I'm kind of sad about it. I wish it was still, in that spot where people would say, you play Shoop, you shouldn't play Shoop, that's really bad. But now if you play Shoop, they won't say that anymore. But
yeah, you're actually gonna get a lot of heat for playing Shoop.
Yeah, now I will get more hate. Even
you
more
either
hate.
love it or hate it.
Yeah, like I already got hate for playing it because Shoop, but now I will get more hate.
Yeah, because now with all the golds like Dula and then Rune Raid and Rodea, you just have so many golds to somewhat synergize with Shoop. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, Shoop artifact removal is really strong. With all those new scenarios cards, so people will definitely hate me more for doing that. And yeah, I have tried Vinci Shoop deck, Brazzer.
Yeah, we actually played it together, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we did. Not sure if it's as strong as it used to be, but.
Okay, guys. Next question: how hard is it to find guests for the show? I think it's gonna be the question that I have to answer because normally I do that. So I would say it really depends. I think that we have to shed some more light on how we recruit guests for the podcast, because sometimes some guests are just so high profile that I don't even have to consult with the team and I just can invite them, because like I can't imagine BJ or Lionheart or Villa saying no to Buja being on the show, or me approaching Slama or Teobot. It just felt like it's the right thing to do, and if we want to keep improving the podcast, it felt like I don't need to consult on guests like that. Other than that, sometimes it's just a result of a discussion, like we throw a couple of names around and we discuss what kind of episode we would like to see, and even if we don't pick the guest that, for example, BJ put forward or Villa or Lionheart, I usually make a list, and there is always the chance that these guests are gonna be back, at some point in the future. And I think our first guests of season 2 are an example of that, because that was an idea made by Dennis and Baby Joseph. And we didn't get them for season 1, but I only approached them for season 2, and it seems like it's a yes. And until recently, it wasn't very hard. Until recently, all it took was just message them. Just message Tailbot, just message Buja or McBeard, and they were always very open to the idea. But recently, we kind of got a couple of failed attempts, I would say. One of them being Slamma. Like, we've been trying to get Slamma for a while now, and it's not working. Like, we are really getting, we are getting there. We are trying. Right, we are pinging him, we are tagging him on Twitter. He likes our tweets. He sometimes responds.
Yeah. We'll get a daily rota. We'll each email him daily until we get a response.
Yeah, I don't even have his email address. Like, you can't even get it. It's nowhere.
We will find a way.
Yeah, we'll have to. Like, we even approached Buja and asked him to reach out to Slamma. Like, we are trying to get Jason. And Jason, if you're watching, or Pavel, if you're watching, we really want Slamma on the show. Another person I asked to be on the show was Austria, who is also a CDPR developer that you might know from the dev streams. And yeah, we haven't heard anything yet. So I think outside, like, other than Pavel, it's really hard to get devs on the show, because there is just, they have to run it through their PR department, and you have to get all the questions green lighted. Actually, McBeard, who managed to get Slamma on Commander's Horn, he explained to me how it works, and it's a painful and long process. And another failure that we got recently is Life Coach. Like, I tried, guys. I approached him through various social media and his email, and so far nothing. Maybe he'll respond one day. We don't know. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. If you are doing a show like this, if you want to interview somebody, just send them a message. And yesterday, actually, last night, we got 2 confirmations. Are we gonna leak them, guys, or are we gonna keep it a secret?
Not yet. No.
Okay, I'm gonna leak it that way. If you wanna know who the guests of the next 2 episodes are gonna be, you can just look at the host and player lineups for the Challenger, and you'll find them there. I think that's fair. Like, we can do that.
I can agree. I can.
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. Yeah.
Just look at the Challenger lineup for casters and players, and you'll find the next guests there. I can tell you it's not gonna be Jaggers, because Jaggers was already on the show.
We already had Jaggers. But yes, it won't take too much deduction to work out.
No, it won't take too long.
Yeah, boom.
Especially if you pay attention to Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But on that note, let's move to another question.
Yeah.
What kind of preparation goes into making a podcast?
I mean,
the shit first Discord call.
Our preparation is very unique. We usually sit in a Discord call for about 2 hours and just basically screw around for 90% of the time. And 10% of the time we are actually serious.
Yeah.
I would say it really depends on the episode. When I worked only with Lionheart, it was always very effective, but I guess that's just this.
I guess it's the people that,
Yeah, Lionheart is very efficient. That's just how he handles things, which is understandable, because he's working insane hours at his job, so he had to manage the remaining time in a very organized fashion.
My diary, along with all of my work conference calls, there's actually a slot in my work diary for those calls.
Yeah, so normally we discuss the episode a couple of days before, and we throw some ideas. The first couple of episodes were chaotic because we didn't have clearly defined segments. Now we have them, so it's just much easier. And I always ask people to do some research and see what our guests have been talking about on Twitter or Reddit, if they're streaming, what their stream is about, just so that we know what's going on. And then a few days before the show, we make the call, and we shit talk all the other casters and content creators and everyone else. we throw some Lionheart memes, we mock Villa, and then somewhere at the end of the call, like we actually get to work, and it takes, I would say, 10 minutes, maybe half an hour to get everything done.
Yeah.
It's always like that. But luckily, recently we've been doing the calls without Dennis, because when Dennis was around, that was a disaster. Like this guy has so many memes and jokes up his sleeve. Like you cannot work with this guy. He just turns everything into one massive joke, and we just keep laughing and instead of working.
Yeah, not on my schedule.
Yeah. Oh wow.
This sounds like a good time. Where do I apply? Okay, another one. How do you keep the podcast interesting and engaging?
I was just happy that people thought it was interesting and engaging.
Yeah, that's it. We
thanks.
Job complete.
Yeah, we just hope that you guys
Success,
like
guys.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say the first couple of episodes was a struggle, right? We didn't have segments, like proper segments. And I remember the episode with Bibo when I was just... It felt like a meeting, like I don't know. It's hard to compare it to anything because I was just like shuffling the questions, like Bibo, now it's your turn, and Villa, now it's your turn, and BJ, now it's your turn, and it felt very, very still, I would say. Even though Bibo is a great guy, and now he has his own cards, which is amazing. and then we started to learn, and I think at some point when Lionheart joined, that was the moment we started doing the segments, and then he said that we should go from relying on the guests to run the show to the point where we're just more active and we run the show, we discuss things, and the guests are just being there as a sidekick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in the last couple of episodes, I would say.
And we also started like showing trailers and like other stuff on the screen.
Yeah,
and we are talking more. Like we are leading the discussion, and then the guests are always being asked questions, and they can always jump in. And some guests are better than others. I think that overall, I would say the casters and streamers are doing a better job.
Yeah, they're very confident, and they're used to having to do that as well. So it's nice because they join us. They're almost, it's like having a co-host as opposed to a guest almost, which is quite nice. It's like you're a guest, but you're part of it with us. If that makes sense. Especially
when they have a very open personality like Jaguars. That episode was amazing.
I thought that was so much fun. I really did. Yeah. It was so enjoyable. She's so relaxed.
I would say in terms of fun and just laughing and having fun, the Jaguars episode and the Trident episode were the best.
Yeah, they were great.
I totally agree.
The Trident episode produced so many great memes.
We had to rebrand ourselves multiple times over that episode, but it was great.
That was the only episode that I watched in its entirety afterwards.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because normally I'm just looking for... Yeah. Because normally I have the feeling that something went wrong and that maybe we could have done certain things better. But that wasn't the case, really. So I just watched the episode and I was like, oh my god, so many jokes.
Yeah, I totally loved it, yeah.
I really love that moment when we're talking about something, and I remember Trident saying that he only pretends that Gwen is nice or Gwen is fun to play, something like that. And he just heard that and he's like, "Oh shit!" So he just sank under his table. Just I'm not even here. Don't look at me. Don't add at me.
Yeah, he did not take it too seriously, and that's what I liked.
But yeah, that was great fun. It really was.
And usually we get that feeling when we first make the call, right? You make the call, and it's the pre-podcast talk, and when we just look at the tech side of the show, and some guests are just amazing. Like they start talking, and you just have fun. Like Pusha was like that, Jagger was like that, Trina was like that, and sometimes oh god, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, you just have that feeling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever we get Villa, I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna be hard.
I love you guys too.
I do love the 6% though.
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of formats would you like to add to the podcast in the future?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I know.
I think we've developed and changed a few things. That there's more going on, like showing the trailers and things like that. I like that's involved. I wonder what else we could do when they launch the tournament segment. Maybe have some element of that in there for an episode would be fun, as a completely random Merchants of Novigrad, the four of us have a game against each other as part of the podcast. The other two cast on it. That could be quite fun, very different. But
Yeah, some kind of trivia.
yeah. Oh well, the
But
King
then
of Gwent trivia was here earlier.
But then it doesn't seem to be a podcast anymore, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
We could also discuss Lionheart's love life,
No.
Oh yeah, that was a question that I did not bring up, but I remember some people in our Discord asking for clarity when it comes to Lionheart's
No,
love
one
life.
specific person asking for clarity, and entirely meme-based, I am assured. No. Lionheart will be answering no questions on these subjects.
Yeah, when it
Please refer to all available memes.
Back to the new formats.
Rapidly.
Yeah, there is a couple of things we briefly discussed. Like we had this idea of a mini game of some sorts that we called Novigrad Injustice. There's no format yet. Like we don't know how it would look like, how hard it would be to pull it off, and how would we integrate it into the podcast. We don't know. It's just an idea. And yeah, we have a couple of ideas for events like Gwent and Gwent. It's something we talk about essentially every episode. Just hoping that there's gonna reach Arab sponsor somewhere in chat who really likes Gwent.
Yeah, we'll make
Gwent
it
and
happen.
Gwent, powered by Merchants of...
Yeah, like if there is an Ophiri merchant in chat, please DM
please.
Well, whenever we get invoiced for the expansion stealing our name and ripping it off, I'm sure we'll be able to fund Gwent and
me.
Gwent.
Oh yeah, exactly. I need to have a serious talk with Buja about that because come on, Merchants of Novigrad and Merchants of Fear, you could have tried better. You could have tried harder.
Yeah,
For sure.
honestly.
It's not cool.
I'm actually impressed with Berger for not leaking the fact that it was going to be called that, because I'm sure he would have known when he was talking to you guys that was the name that they were dealing with.
Yeah,
So
definitely,
I'm actually really impressed that he didn't say anything.
No, he didn't. The
No.
only thing he said is
Yeah.
that the art is coming in and he is already looking at it, and he said it's amazing and we are definitely going to enjoy it.
I mean,
He's right.
he was right.
He was right, absolutely.
Yeah.
With all those
completely.
Easter eggs and stuff, it's amazing.
I have another question here. I did not include in the files,
That's
so
for you.
you guys. No, how is season 2 gonna look like? That's a question I got somewhere else.
Okay.
Well, hopefully it's gonna improve. I mean, that'd be the most important part, right?
Yeah, I think that when it comes to the tech side, how is it called? Because the scenes we have now are okay, right? We work them halfway through the season, and they're not going anywhere. But it's called transmission, like, the thingy, the animation when you change scenes.
Yeah.
How's it called? I forgot the word.
Transition.
Transition. Thank you, Lionheart. Yeah, so transitions is something that we want to add because we don't have like proper ones, and there's a couple of people within TRS who can do stuff like that. So yeah, we hope to have that done before season 2. And other than that, I think we're just gonna continue doing what we already do. Like we want to have, I would say, 1 or 2 competitive episodes. We will have a lot of people from the community, so casters, streamers. Probably, not probably, that's almost certain by now. There is going to be an episode dedicated to people who work on Gwent, who help make things happen, but who are not very visible. So, for example, people who work on the visuals, or people who actually film certain elements for Gwent or for certain teams. There's going to be an episode like that. It's already confirmed by now. And I think we might actually make this episode the thing, like us, just the 4 of us sitting together. It might be a thing that we do at the end of each season.
Yeah, that's good fun. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I think it's a good transition.
Definitely. I'll certainly be targeting the open winners in Gwent season 2 as well, trying to see if we
Actually,
can
that's
settle
gonna be
them.
towards the end of season 2, I would say.
Yeah,
Because I think now it's too early to say, but I think season 2 is gonna resume January 11th.
Yeah, something like
And
that, yeah.
so we already know it's gonna be Vila, BJ, and me. And the 25th is gonna be the episode Lionheart has been waiting for his whole life.
Lionheart's suddenly busy.
How long will be
Shaking
next
his
season
head.
of Merchants of Novigrad? It's gonna be probably 8 episodes as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good format.
Yeah, it seems to work. It seems to work.
Like
for
the
now.
way we
Bring
want to
some
do it, I
breaks.
think, is 8 episodes. We take a month break, so we skip 1 episode essentially. Then we resume.
Voldemort.
Voldemar, of course you're here. I'm so glad you just.
Hey Voldy, how you doing?
Hey Voldy.
You got summoned.
I would say
Yes.
that the
Yeah.
person, I would say that the person in question was definitely interested and said they're honored, and they said that might be fun. But yeah, we cannot comment on the name. We gave you guys a lot of hints, so some of you might know who that is. But yeah, I think that throughout season 1, we just learned a lot about how to run a podcast.
Yeah.
I remember the first episode. It was just like so many tech issues, how to do all of it, and the questions, the segments.
I mean, we're pretty new to it,
Yeah.
so it makes a lot of sense when you look
Yeah.
back to it.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to improve is I want to get the villa to talk.
What? Say again?
I want to
Yeah.
get the villa to
Tech
actually
issues
talk.
spawning.
Exactly. Perfect timing.
Funny.
Poor Villa.
It's not poor Villa. He's a cool guy. He just needs to talk more. He just needs to be more active. even if we got Tailbot, that was his episode, competitive episode, and he was just there.
Yeah, it's all learning experience.
Yeah, it's of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really good. I've enjoyed it. As I say, I was only here for half of it, and I've had a great time. And you can see how much more comfortable we all are, how much smoother it seems to run, and how much it's just so much fun.
Bing, bing, bing with a question.
Oh, bing, 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 man.
If it hasn't been asked, do you think the Netflix Witcher will feature promote help Gwent in any way, or Sasha Grey, who was streaming The Witcher 3?
I saw that.
Sasha Grey.
Oh.
I actually had no idea who this was.
Lionheart is
I had
lying.
no idea who that was. I got a message going, "Oh my god!" What from? It was in one of the Discords, and BJ said, "Oh, Sasha Grey's streaming," and I was like, "Who's Sasha Grey?" Who? And obviously now I'm aware of who Sasha Grey is. I was made aware that I should know who that is.
Yeah.
I don't. I think anyone playing The Witcher who is high profile will inevitably bring some good things to Gwent, right?
Yeah,
Lionheart-
I would paraphrase the old joke and say there's been a research and 90% of people know who Sasha Grey is, and the 10% who doesn't, they lie.
I mean, Lionheart has only
Genuinely
2
had no
moments
idea.
live.
Yeah, I'm too busy for that. I know now.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine Sasha Grey being on the podcast?
I mean,
I tell you what, message and ask. Let's see how the response goes.
she has to play Gwent, of course.
She did play The Witcher 3 Gwent, so maybe we can drop
That
some
counts.
hints.
That counts with me.
Yeah, it's fine. We can convince him. Be fine.
Approved.
Millennials probably don't know her. I think millennials might be too
Yeah,
young
and
to know her.
going to the other half of Bing Bing Bing's question around the Netflix Witcher, I would be stunned if we don't see Gwent. I
think that there is not gonna be there is no Gwent in the books really. In the books, Gwent is essentially a dwarven game that nobody else really understands. It has some really weird rules and the players
Yeah.
beat
I
each
don't
other
think
with
that we'll
sticks and
actually-
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. So maybe there will be a scene where dwarves are playing Gwent because
I was going to say, I think we'll see it in the background. I think you'll hear the word mentioned, but I don't necessarily think you'll watch. We'll have a detailed
Bing
gameplay
with another question. Sapkowski's still upset, wants cash from CDPR. They settled the matter.
Yeah.
So essentially, you can call him an old prick, but from the financial standpoint, he made a sound decision back in the day, and the law was on his side. Like CDPR probably knew they were gonna lose the lawsuit, so they settled.
Yeah.
So yeah, he got some more cash from CDPR and probably a substantial amount as well.
You would say so, yeah.
Like,
wow.
Like I know that people want to protect CDPR because CDPR is a great studio and they love the Witcher games and they love Gwent, but I kind of agree with him. Like the profits from the games were exceeding what he asked for by far, and you have to compensate for that.
Yeah. I think the matter's resolved, isn't it? So whether
it's
whether
resolved
if all parties are probably happy at this point, I think, and
And I think that deep down he's happy that he sold so many books thanks to the games, even though he said otherwise.
Yeah, I think some of his comments that he made left the community a bit angry with him because it's like your creator hating his own creation kind of thing, being bitter about something else doing better than the books. But it's made the books more enjoyable, more widely read. So I think you're probably right. I think down deep he probably does.
Yeah, I think I
actually.
read something about him writing a new Witcher novel, which makes sense
wow.
because
Yeah.
well, the games and now the Netflix show.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people interested in the Witcher lore, so I think he might try to bank on that as well.
Huge
Okay,
stuff.
guys, do you have any more questions regarding the podcast or anything else? Just we have a couple more minutes, I would say,
Yeah.
because BJ is already looking at his at the clock.
Yeah, I have to go
Yeah.
to think.
No, I think we're good.
We should just end.
Guys, any more questions? Because if not, then I'll have to thank my co-host for being here.
Yeah, for 8 episodes.
What do you think about the NG armors in the show? You already know what we think.
We don't make us end the season on a negative.
No, it's. I think an our armor looks pretty solid though. Get Oyerfeldy on podcast.
Oifeldi is the legend and the hero that we don't deserve.
Okay, guys. So
Enjoy.
on that note, yeah, like closing statements, guys. Where can our viewers find you, and maybe a few words on how you found the season 1, like some sort of closing of the season, your opinion on how it went and stuff like that. So let's start with Villa because he seems like very eager to talk.
Thank you. I found the first season actually really fun, even though it had some issues, like said, but it was all new fun learning experience, so I really enjoyed it that way. And yeah, overall, we had a great time, even just discussing stuff with you guys on private calls concerning the episodes. So yeah, a fun experience for me, and where you can find me is mostly on Twitter or Twitch. And yeah, all I have to say anymore is Happy Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone, and we'll see you in 2020.
Sounds good.
BJ.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the first season of doing the podcast. Great learning experience. Never done a podcast before, just streamed, and yeah, was really nice to have those guests that we had on the show, and I'm really looking forward to the next guest next season. And yeah, enjoy your holidays, everyone. And you can find me on Twitch and Twitter under the name Baby Joseph. So maybe, yeah, we will catch each other there.
Lionheart, my dear friend, my best man.
Yes, I found season 1 very enjoyable. I got to experience it a little differently to you guys. I got to experience it firstly as someone watching, and then as also a host as well. And I've had a fantastic time. It's been really good watching it evolve and watching us learn and change and have fun. It's very different from streaming. I think you guys will probably agree. It's a very different experience because you're working not just your own voice, but with other people. And it's similar to a co-op, but a little different again. Absolutely loving it. Had a great time. Really pleased to be involved. Can't wait for season 2. Really hyped for that. So yeah, it's been a great experience, and I think there's plenty more to come from us yet, guys. So I really hope you all come back and tune in for season 2. If you're looking to find me, I'm available on Twitch and on Twitter at Lionheart. You'll find me. And yeah, thank you very much. Have a good Christmas, New Year, and yeah, as the guys have said, we will see you next year.
Okay, guys. Yeah, I think I'm gonna repeat what everyone else already said. Great learning experience. I still remember the first hectic week when we thought, oh, we have a couple of weeks until the first episode, and then it seemed we have like 5 days, and everything had to be done like really quickly. But yeah, overall, we learned a lot about how to run a show like this in the last couple of months. And I'm still stunned that, you know, high-profile guests like Pavel and Trinet or Tailbot or McBeard agreed to be on the show, and we are getting more of these kind of guests for the next season as well. So yeah, it's been a great run, and I think that season 2 is gonna be even better. But yeah, where can you find me? Well, on my channel, which is here. You don't really need to look far. Other than that, you can just type !social and you'll find all the links to my social media. And yeah, I would also encourage you to type !podcast to find our Discord and our Twitter and the YouTube channel where all the episodes are being uploaded. And with that being said, This episode is gonna be on YouTube in a couple of hours. And yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year. We're gonna see you probably on January the 11th. There is gonna be some tweets in the meantime and some memes in the meantime. We are definitely gonna try to stay in touch with everyone.
Yeah, we will not be absent.
We are gonna to raid Somali in a moment, but yeah, for now, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, and guys, thanks for being on the show once again, for helping, making it great. And
Pleasure as always.
enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.